Hey guys, so today we've got a bit of a different video. I'm actually going to be going over some of the PTB changes and kind of just giving my thoughts on them. Let's start with quite possibly the biggest change, the Nerf. I know a lot of people, myself included, when I heard Nerf, I kind of thought Behavior had taken her out back and finally put her in the dirt. But I could say after fully reading over the patch notes and experiencing it myself, that is not the case at all. So the main change is that Nerf's blink attacks no longer count as basic attacks, they count as special attacks. So essentially what that means is that her blink attacks will no longer work with perks like Jolts, Noed, Devour Hope, Franklin's Demise, anything like that won't work with it anymore. And then they also completely removed her range add-ons, and then they reworked a bunch of her other add-ons as well. These changes will remove the SpaceRock Awaken Awareness meta and a couple others that are on Nerfs right now, and kind of just make it a little easier on survivors. But in all honesty, I really don't feel like this is going to make much of a difference. Nerf's strength has always come from her ability to deny pallets, windows, and loops altogether, and just being able to teleport through walls is what has really made her the strongest killer by far in Dead by Daylight. And at the end of the day, I feel like people who are already really good with Nerfs will stay really good after the changes, and people who are bad will stay bad. I really don't think that we're going to see much of a difference there. The next change is to the Knight. Behavior has noticed that most people don't use his power for long-range patrols, and instead they choose to just drop their guards directly on loops and kind of force survivors off of them. And they kind of want to incentivize killers to try and use his power in a more patrol-orientated way as they intended it, so they gave him a couple minor buffs for this. First off, when the Knight begins to place a guard path, after moving 10 meters or more, the orb becomes harder and harder for survivors to see, so it's a little harder for them to predict where it's going to be placed. And the Knight will also gain a haste effect for a short period of time after placing a path longer than 10 meters, just to make it a little easier to catch up to those survivors who've kind of gotten that extra distance on you. And the second change is actually to guard gen kicking. So because guards can't apply perks like Call of Brine, Eruption, Pop Goes the Weasel, they actually increase the base gen regression from 2.5% to 5%. So it's nothing crazy, but it makes it maybe a little more worth if maybe you just don't have time to kick the gen yourself, you can use a guard instead. I also just really quickly wanted to point out this little bit here in the patch notes for Behavior mentions that they have to admire the creative ways some of you have managed to use the Knight's power, rather than locking down an area or aggressively chasing survivors. Some of you have discovered that you could start by drawing a path and then not move to hide your terror radius, and doing it particularly near a hooked survivor. And while the efficiency of doing this is debatable, it doesn't exactly suit his playstyle, so they've added a 10-second limit to his patrol path creation. So basically people found a way to give themselves Insidious while sitting next to a hooked survivor. And I just thought that the response to this was really funny and wanted to show you guys. Behavior is also working on improving solo queue, starting with adding a new HUD, so you'll be able to see when your teammates are working on gens, cleansing totems, chests, and healing. And you can actually see when they're on the ground recovering as well. It shows like this little bar, and it shows how close they are to being fully picked up, which is pretty cool, I guess. Everyone will also have little mini obsession claws around their icon while being chased, so you always know if the killer is on someone, but I'm not really too sure how I feel about that. Adding that to the HUD. My main concern is how that's going to affect stealth killers. Letting every survivor in the game know that the killer isn't chasing someone might really make it harder to kind of catch people off guard, but I guess in the end, only time will really tell for sure. This next change is actually something that myself and many others in the community have been really waiting for a long time now. It's Tome Challenge trackers. So now we will have an in-game indicator for all of our Tome Challenge progress. And so this way we don't have to worry about counting our chase seconds or trying to remember how many protection hits that we have taken. It'll all just be shown and displayed to us in the game. I'm also super excited for the killer game flow improvements. With the PTB update, killers will finally be able to pick a killer and then ready up, and then while waiting for that match they can actually switch to different killers and they can change their loadouts or dump blood points or anything like that. So gone are the days of waiting 30 minutes, dumping blood points, and then on top of that having to wait in a queue afterwards as well. And as always, we saved the best for last. The Crow's Eye has been reworked. Hallelujah! That map hurt my soul so much. So essentially, they removed some of the stronger and taller loops that connected together, and they reshaped the map overall. So now it's kind of more like a square than it was a rectangle like before. So now it'll be easier for killers to patrol their gens, and it just makes the map itself overall a little bit smaller and more manageable. That's gonna be it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And I'll also be leaving a link down in the description below to the PTB patch notes if anybody wants to read over them and kind of check out some of the minor changes as well. And I'll be live later today playing the PTB at twitch.tv/SpaceRock from midnight to 8 AM EST time if anybody wants to stop by and check that out. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!